is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Hello, everyone. Here we are on Talking Tennis. It's tennis season again. It's the Australian Open. And we've got an exciting first round match to look forward to against or between Naomi Osaka and Caroline Garcia. Zach, it's been a while. How are you doing?
I'm good, Eddie. Thanks so much for having me on today. I'm looking forward to this match. You know, in the show prep, we were talking briefly with John, and this could be an hour. It could be 3. I think it's probably going to be closer to an hour. What's your read for what we're in store for today?
Yeah, I mean, I think unlike when they played last year, because they did face each other last year at the same stage. This time, I because Naomi was just coming back last year, she ended up losing that match. It wasn't that surprising, obviously, just fresh, newly returned to the tour. But now this time, she had a pretty good start to the year, and obviously she played a fair number of matches last year. But yeah, obviously disappointing for her, and I guess that creates the only doubt today because she retired in that final in Auckland, right? So great for her to get through all those matches and get those wins under her belt. I don't think it was a serious problem, but it kind of. I mean, last year we also had, just as she was getting going, she had to retire against Coco Gauff.
Yeah.
So maybe just slight doubts about her sort of conditioning and whatnot. I mean, the win predictor's up there on the screen. I don't know if you can see that, saying 68% to Naomi Osaka. I don't pay too much attention to that, to be honest, because the win predictor has been quite strange sometimes. But I think, though, it's right in the sense that Naomi is a favorite this time, and she's in a better position than last year. And I think I expect her to win. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, her top level, I don't think the Garcia can hang if we get really even her B+ game from Osaka. Certainly not her A game. But to your point, look, there have been conditioning challenges, and there always are anytime somebody's working their way back or had a long layoff. She's still kind of finding her tennis legs. I think it should be Osaka, but Garcia off to a decent, the first couple of points here. Anything can happen in tennis. It's late at night, which I don't know about you. I play terrible at night in general. I particularly play worse when it's later at night because I'm a morning person. So there's so many variables. Anything could happen. Probably going to be Osaka, but I guess we'll have to watch and see.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a funny point. Maybe she just doesn't like playing at night, but I'm not sure that's the case for her. But I mean, for Garcia, we should maybe talk about her a bit as well. Obviously, she hasn't played too much either, so that's one of the other variables that's different from the last time they faced each other. So yeah, that's obviously counting in Naomi's favor. I mean, yeah, as you say, she has been exceptional. I mean, like the levels that she can reach are up there with anyone right on the tour, right? But I know, we saw that most notably with that match last year against Swiatek, which was arguably like the best set that anyone played all year, in the women's game. So, so she's got that in her. It's just a case of, we know that she's a multiple Grand Slam champion. It's just a case of how often and how often can she bring that now that she's had that time away from the game and returned. Obviously, it's a process, and there's big expectations for her. But yeah,
if you're in Garcia's box today, if you were the coach, what would you tell her, and what would your game plan be to take on and upset Osaka here?
I mean, that's a bit. I think she's got to be aggressive and go for it. Really, I mean, I think that's the only way. If you try and get an early foothold in the match, it's going to create pressure on Osaka. You don't want to go down early, and I mean, you don't want to do that. So, if she can get the foothold in the match, and the longer she can sort of stay with Osaka, then perhaps Osaka might feel a little bit of pressure. And obviously, we know that she's got perhaps a doubt about her physicality, but so try and stay with her for as long as possible, basically. What would you say?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, look, I think if you're going to beat Naomi Osaka, the game plan should not be to do it in straight sets. So mentally prepare for a long one, right? I think drag out every single point as long as possible. Make sure you're always hitting one back. Take your time between points. The more time you are on court, if you're Garcia, I think the more of an advantage you're able to gain, potentially. I don't think that we fully know what Osaka's fitness level is going to be, but I think you just got to drag it out. You got to grind. If I was in her box, I would channel my inner Brad Gilbert and find ways to win ugly. And normally, not for me, that style of play. But I think today, that would work for, that is the best shot that Garcia is going to have. I also just want to say for folks that are listening and watching, I'm a walking tech issue today. Forgive me. I cannot see the comments. I love those comments. I love the chats. So don't hesitate to please be active. I know that John is going to share some of them, and so we'll still be able to engage, but I cannot see them. I'm not ignoring you. Forgive me. Such is life.
Yes, so obviously today we're watching Naomi Osaka. She is from Japan, so I'm doing a Tennis Asia podcast. I have a Tennis Asia channel, so we're also streaming on Tennis Asia TV, not just talking tennis. We do this sometimes on my channel as well. So it's been not a great day for some of the Asian players, to be honest.
Tell us about it.
Obviously, if we're talking about the men, like Jerry Shang, he had to retire just after two sets. There was a bit of a doubt for him in terms of coming into the match because he had to retire in Hong Kong, where I was, by the way. And unfortunately, that sucks for him. And to be honest, he's had quite a few issues with a lot of retirements. But and then on the women's side, we had some matches that went kind of close. So, for example, Yuan Wei against Pavlyuchenkova, it went to 3 sets. Yuan had her chances, but she didn't take them in. Now Hibino was up a set on Marta Kostyuk, but unfortunately, she couldn't maintain that level, and Kostyuk came back and ended up winning it in 3 the last 2 sets, 6-3, 6-1. So does that happen? But the only good thing on the women's side we can talk about, which was a good result, was Mayuka Uchijima, who beat Magda Linette from a set down. And she took a page out the Kei Nishikori playbook by saving a match point and then coming back to win. So that was good from her. And it looks like we've lost Zach. He did say he was going to have technical issues, but it's okay. Hopefully we'll get him back here. Okay. And we just stop there as Garcia sends that wide there. All right, Zach.
Hey, long time no see. What's new, man? How we doing?
I'm all right. Okay. Yeah, missed much. We're still on serve here. Osaka and Garcia.
There we go. Forgive my tech issues. I'm looking forward in a couple games to digging into the numbers. I don't know how closely you've been following along on Infosys, but it was really interesting watching seeing the Djokovic and a match through that lens. It's a pretty helpful set of tools. Are you a fan of the advanced analytics, or I guess they're not that advanced, but are you a fan of that system?
I've not been looking at that too much. I do obviously look at the basic stats, but I mean, tell me more about what are you getting out of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for anybody who's a Swing Vision user, it's kind of like Swing Vision on steroids. And so, you've just got your first serve make rate, average serve speeds, return winners, but you can get a little bit more into it. And so it'll give you the breakdown of volley shots, approach shots, different types of winners, not just winner off the forehand wing, but whether it's a drop shot or cross court. The stat that today has been the most telling to me, we saw the return of Kyrgios, sort of, lost in straight sets. He won 18% of service return points today. That is not a viable number if you want to win a tennis match consistently. And so I think little stuff like that I find pretty helpful and interesting.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was always going to come down to how Kyrgios was going to serve, and but the thing is, Fernley he's a solid all-round player, and he can return well. And if Kyrgios he couldn't really serve the way he wanted to, it's really not that surprising that he lost, to be honest. And he was moaning a lot, but but I mean, Ghosty's asking there, catching up the scores. Does anyone know what Shang's health issues are? I see he retired against ADF. Well, he had a virus, the flu in Hong Kong. He definitely was sick. He managed to complete one match. He got through one match against Marazan, I think, from a set down, and he was sick. But then in the next match against Kei Nishikori, he retired in the first set. It seemed a little bit sudden, and he was definitely had a virus, but it seemed kind of sudden. I think he was obviously thinking about the Australian Open coming up. He didn't want to push himself probably, but it would seem a bit strange that I don't know what was the official reason. Did you watch that match at all, the Shang match? Because I couldn't.
No, I'm not sure. I will say, just anecdotally, my wife and I are traveling around South America a little bit right now, and the apartment complex we're staying in, the walls are pretty thin, and it is just coughing from every single direction. And it's been that case, it seems like, the entire last month or so. In the States, in North Carolina, where we're coming from, everybody's sick, and it's this sort of weird winter virus that isn't COVID, but has taken a lot of people out of commission for 7 to 10 days. I think it very well could just be that.
But the thing is, he got that in sort of the middle of the week in Hong Kong, which was the first week. Yeah. So you would have thought maybe by now he would be okay, right? But I don't know. Maybe there's some. But he's always had physical issues. So
but also, how much do you want to push it as a player, right? If you're not 100% and you're not seeing a path to victory, do you play through and finish out the match? Personally, I think that they should strive to, but sometimes you got to do damage control, and I think playing when you're not 100% comes with a risk. I think it's very different if it's a physical, it's an Achilles injury, a ligament, a tendon, versus like a viral or bacterial infection. But what do I know?
What I should say is, in that same week, that was a good point there. Good forehand, the winner there from Osaka. I would say in that same week in Hong Kong, the first match that Nishikori played was against Denis Shapovalov, and Nishikori won that comfortably 6-2, 6-2. Because Shapovalov had a virus, and it might have been the same thing, right? But you knew he was sick because he wasn't even practicing, because he wasn't on the practice course at all. So Shapovalov. So hey, maybe it is something really bad that they had, and it's just going around. But I think just because with Jerry Shang, he's had numerous issues. Obviously this is virus thing, but then he has had injuries. So
a lot of the young guys, though, there's some of these real talents. So Alcaraz has had a meaningful amount of injuries for being a young player. Shang obviously has had challenges. Draper has had a mix of stuff, and so I wonder how much of that is, that he just is. I wonder how much that is the tennis schedule. Something that we've talked about a little bit before. It is extremely taxing. I had the opportunity to see Alcaraz in person this December. And so even when they're in the off season, he was doing an exhibition in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I'm sure he made a ton of money, and good for him, and deservedly so. But the way that the tennis calendar works really takes a toll on some of these young players' bodies physically, but also, who knows if that lowers their immunities. You couple that with constant travel. I don't know about y'all. Anytime I'm on a flight, the likelihood of getting sick is, 6 times higher than it is when you're just sitting at home.
I mean, actually, when I arrived in Hong Kong, just the flying, and I couldn't sleep properly. Just the scheduling was a bit messed up. And then, I didn't get much sleep. And then I did actually get a cold for like a couple of days. It was only a cold, but it was just, it was definitely related to that. Just like, but whatever. These things happen. And I can't really imagine. I think, I would struggle with that. Obviously, these guys are really fit, but it's definitely not good to be, sort of changing time zones all the time. And then, flying is always can take you out of it. So, I don't know. It's like, and also like if you're Shang or Shapovalov and you fly from Hong Kong, it's still quite far to Australia. That's like quite a long flight. So,
And they're not flying private, most likely. They're on a normal plane. But maybe they're in first class because they got status, because they got mileage and all that. But I mean, it's certainly not like they're getting there the way that Djokovic is on a fancy jet.
Right. Yeah.
Which, by the way, and this, I recognize this is like a champagne problem for some of the players, but in what world would any athlete, in the top 100 in their sport be flying commercial to a premier event? In football, in American football, in basketball, absolutely not. And this is where tennis, I wish, could get a little bit more creative with how it would take care of the players and make life a little bit easier on them.
Yeah. I mean, I've always thought that, the scheduling does need to be better. Like, I mean, obviously it's really difficult, but ideally we'd want like all the European tournaments together at one point. I mean, they do kind of do that, but it's not always like that, right? I mean, because you'll have like tournaments in Europe or whatever, and then you got tournaments in South America going at the same time, and then you've got like it jumps around, right? So I don't know. It's not ideal in an ideal world. I think you'd have the Asian swing sort of before like this tournament, because but it would make more sense. But
so I'm not a weatherman, but correct me if I'm wrong here. This is the hottest time of year in Australia, more or less.
Yeah.
Is that a good idea? Probably not. Could they push it back to when it's a little cooler and start with the swing in Asia? Absolutely.
Well, I think a long time ago, they used to have the Australian Open was in like December, wasn't it? So it's like the end of the year.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not easy, right? I mean, there's a lot of considerations to, there's different, and then you have like a problem, because I've been thinking about this. Then you have the issue with like Saudi Arabia is wanting to have a Masters tournament and money talks, right? So they're not going to say, at some point they're going to be like, okay, you can have a Masters tournament, and they're going to try and accommodate that, it seems. And the Australian Open organizers are not happy about this.
And it's just absurd that Saudi. I mean, look, I recognize the money talks, and that's just the world we live in. But it's absurd that Saudi Arabia is going to get a 1,000 event before South America. Like, I'm sitting here in Buenos Aires, city of 15 million people, huge tennis community. I'm lucky enough to be in a group chat for expats in Buenos Aires to play. And I don't believe that they have above a 250 in South America, which feels even more egregious if we're going to find a 1,000.
They have a 500s. They have 500s in South America.
The 500 in Rio. There's 500. Oopsies. Yeah. Let's make it 1,000 in Rio. Bump it up. Why not?
Well, I mean, if that was a good passing shot there from Osaka. She brings up a break point. Hopefully we're around the same point in the stream. South America has a good case for it if João Fonseca turns out to be as good as we all think he's going to be. If Brazil has a star like that, bring on the Rio or Sao Paulo 1,000 event or wherever it's going to be.
Yeah. You think though with Del Potro at some point in time, because I guess there's the ceiling for Joao Fonseca.
Okay, there's
clearly
a
higher.
break.
There we go. Big break
I mean,
there.
Good, solid. She looks good. Early on, Osaka, good, solid strokes there, and no issues that we can see so far. Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, nothing. I think, look, I don't think that Garcia's going to get that break back. Just kind of looking at how things are playing out, especially if Osaka's first serve percentage pumps up a little bit. She's only making about 46%, so a little less than half. And she's holding more or less handily. I think Naomi's looking like she's in really, really good shape.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, John's just put a comment there. If Naomi's fit, for me, it's all about the Mukova match, just like the US Open. Yeah. I mean, what a terrible draw for Naomi, obviously. But, I mean, yeah, Mukova is just a horrible second round for her.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Mukova is probably thinking, yeah, I could have had a much better unseeded player than Naomi Osaka. So
it's a horrible draw for both of them. It's going to be a more horrible draw for one of them, it looks like here. I noticed that Ghost posted in the chat that Collins looks in shape too. And, I guess it's good that she's back. The whole, like, the surprise unretirement after doing a retirement tour, I think it's inconvenient, but also she's a really fun player to watch. So I am glad that we're gonna get a little bit more Collins. I don't understand the mean girl thing though. Like there's this like, oh, she's just keeping it real. She's just being honest thing. And it seems like she's being like pretty unkind to some of her competitors, which is totally fine. There are plenty of players that do that. But I gotta tell you, I find that not super endearing.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like at times there's double standards in terms of like some players, they get, I don't know, like people just take a liking to them. And then even if they do something like a little bit, let's say mean, people are like, oh, great. But then, yeah, other players get it, stick for doing the same thing. But
tennis stan culture is wild. I mean, stan culture in general is like, it's kind of crazy. I think tennis, some of the online accounts that are, the Nadal props, where like they just find these absurd stats that mean nothing to be like, Rafael Nadal is the only left-handed player to win 14 straight 10 a.m. start matches on court 3 at this junior tournament. You're like, oh, wow. Okay. Sick. Oh, did I lose you?
Okay, so double game point here, and I think if she takes this, then that's a great serve down the middle.
Yep.
Are we about in the same spot in the stream?
I'm a little bit ahead of you, and I'm trying to stop to like slow that down. But I've got the Infosys pulled up, so I'm gonna be about 30 seconds ahead no matter what. So I'll tell you what. Why don't maybe you take the lead on the on all that good stuff. And I'll chime in once you're up
with the stats, the statistical analysis.
Hey man, I got my glasses on. I'm a stat guy today. Here we go. 3 aces for both of them, for both players.
Oh, that was a lovely backhand up the line there from Garcia.
Yeah. I think Garcia is going to need to be a little bit more aggressive with her first serve. I mean, she's making it at a great clip, 83%, but she's only winning it 60% of the time, and she just needs to pump that number up a little bit. And so if you got to take a dip in making that first, but to win a few free points, I think that's a trade-off worth trying to make.
There's the head-to-head there. 2-all. But in a way, I almost feel like that's sort of, meaningless because so much has happened since the last time they've played, in their respective careers. But yeah.
I saw a remark from Osaka that, if the level didn't improve, that she might just walk away. And I so hope that she does. I mean, like every tennis fan ever, I hope that she doesn't, because she's such a talent. She's so fun to watch. She's great for the game. And I think it's going to take a while to round back into into fully her top form, but I hope
Yeah.
that she'll give it the time to get there.
Well, I mean, maybe she's just had higher expectations and she thought that she would get back to the top quicker than she has done. But there's been plenty of players that have had time out, and it's difficult to actually get back to close to the level that they were at. But I think that her game is good enough that she absolutely could push on into, certainly I would like, because I think the problem, she got a terrible draw here, and I was thinking, some of those problems will go away if she actually gets seeded. And I think that's clearly a reasonable aim for her this year, and perhaps even beyond, but to get up to that sort of level. But is that what she's going to be happy with? She doesn't want to be top 20. She wants to be up there, like in the top 5, or number 1 probably in her head, right? But
I get it too, right? Like, look, she's made $1 gazillion. She doesn't need to play. She doesn't need to work. She can retire. Her kids can retire, and her grandkids can retire. And so if she's out there not at the level that she wants to be at, not getting the results that she wants, she certainly has the ability to step away. But I think that she can get that level back with time. That actually, it reminds me of something. Djokovic, of course, is not going to be playing. He'll take the hit of not playing every mandated tournament. He said in that kind of wild GQ interview he did that he was going to do the majors and then probably 1 or 2 lead-up tournaments for each one. Same situation for him. Like, I understand that he doesn't want to play every tournament, but if he's seeded 11, 12, 16, 22, whatever it may be, he'll run into some of the same challenges that Osaka is, which is, if you're getting Alcaraz in the 4th round of a major, it just makes life more difficult.
Yeah, and I mean, even just not being in that top 2, or now he is in the same section as Alcaraz, right? So, yeah, I mean, difficult. And I didn't see most of the Djokovic match today because, just busy with stuff. But I certainly didn't see the first part. Was Bashir already that good, or because it felt like the commentators that I was watching, they were getting a little bit carried away with like, this guy's going to be like incredible. It was just like, I don't know. I hate it when they do that. You're already hyping him when they're saying like you need to talk about how he can get over these physical issues. Yeah, I mean, his first slam for him, and did well to get a first set. But I mean, I don't know what you think.
I mean, so I caught a touch this morning, and we swapped some texts with John and kind of joking about this, like, Djokovic losing a first set in a major and then coming back and winning the next 3. Has that ever happened before? Like he famously does this from time to time.
Yeah.
This is completely consistent with the Novak Djokovic that we know. I think to Nishesh's credit, he's a very, very good player. He's a talent. Personally, there's a couple other youngsters that I think have a higher ceiling to him. Leonard Tien being one that I have a particular soft spot for. I think he played a very good first set. I think that he pretty darn close to redlined. I think Djokovic played a Djokovic in a major early round first set. I think the commentators absolutely got carried away. I think there's this belief that for whatever reason, because Djokovic didn't win a major last year, that we shouldn't give him the benefit of the doubt in those situations as much as we're normally accustomed to. And I think that's just wrong. If we get to hard court season in the fall and he hasn't won a major or made a really good run, then maybe we can start saying, okay, like some of the things that we've expected of him, we no longer can. But let us not forget that he won the Olympics with the weight of a nation on him. Let us not forget that he has some very tasty wins in 2024. And so the guy still has plenty of gas in the tank. And I think that sometimes the commentators get excited to dance on the grave of one of the greats a little bit early, just like with Tom Brady sometimes in American football. I see Ghosty asking about Mickelson. Mickelson. What do you think about him? Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's been good, really. I mean, I haven't watched a lot of him, but I mean, I don't know about. I don't see his ceiling as being as high as like maybe like. I mean, there's other Americans on the rise now, but
yeah,
like his result against Tsitsipas was like probably the least surprising upset of the first round, I would say, because Tsitsipas is he's just regressed, if anything. And yeah, Mickelson was, he's obviously showing a good level in the last several months. So yeah, but
he's a top 20 talent, but not top 10 to me, and maybe he cracks it for a season or two, but like, I don't really see him having a better career than Tiafoe or Ben Shelton or Fritz. Yeah. So, if you're looking at, if your ceiling is fourth or fifth best active American, that's not factoring in Lerner Tien. That's not factoring in some of the other players that are on the ascent. Like that's not really the recipe for a top 10 career. He's a very good player. I think that maybe he'll make a deep run or two on a hard court surface over the course of his career.
Of course, Basavaredi. I mean, all these guys, they seem like Lerner Tien as well. Yeah, they're very talented. The only thing that, with Lerner, he's like fairly short for a tennis player, right? So
he's really small. I saw him in person at the Winston Open this past year, and he's like a throwback player. I'm going to get a little hyperbolic. I think the actual best comp for him is John McEnroe. And I don't think that he's going to have as good of a career as McEnroe, but he's kind of a smaller guy. He's got the lefty thing. There's so much placement, and there's guile and savvy that's far beyond his years. Maybe a more accurate comp would be a little bit like a young Donald Young, who I think had a similar enough playing styles too, and wasn't a huge guy either. Yeah, he's not a sort of volley player, so I recognize that's an absurd comparison.
Yeah, right. Totally.
In the stature are the things that I'm looking at.
I mean, he's definitely really talented. Yeah, I think it's just like obviously when we were talking about, you're mentioning these American players, like how they're going to. Okay, Osaka's got 3 set points here. That was a great return there. This is it. Oh, she's doing her little. She's kind of like.
Osaka looks good.
She reminds me a bit of Rafa. Sometimes just the weird things she does, like just sort of little ticks and stuff.
I think that's part of Rafa's lasting legacy we don't talk about enough, is that those little ticks will just they'll just be there forever. And anytime we see them, we'll think of this.
There we go.
Okay.
I mean, Ghosty actually, I mean, that's a solid first set. That was kind of what we were expecting from Naomi. That is the start that she wanted. She doesn't want any drama. Probably, at the moment, I'm expecting this to go in straight sets. What are you thinking?
I totally agree. So when she first got that break, her first serve make rate was below 50%. It's now up to 58% for the set, and she's winning 80% of points on her first. That's a huge recipe for success. She's got a pretty good second serve win rate, limiting the double faults. She had 2, would love to have 0, but 2 is certainly a livable number. And she's hitting as many winners as she has errors. I think it's tough against Osaka, but one thing Garcia could clean up is she's just missing a little bit too much. I think that there's so much pressure anytime you're against Osaka. It's so much easier said than done to say, just miss less. But if she's going to get back in it, got to get that first serve win rate up just a little bit and cut back on a couple errors if possible.
Yeah, I mean, you can only control really what you're doing, but when it's, I mean, if she's serving well, Naomi, and it's going to be very difficult as well. But some replays there. Yeah, she's just such a more natural player on the hard courts, but like, I mean, obviously, Naomi Osaka has actually won this tournament twice. So, and that was the last time was 4 years ago, 2021. So it's been a long time. And I mean, the last time that she actually won a match here was in 2022. And she went out in the third round there. So it's been a long time since she's actually been at, well, I would say like, the top level player. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just sometimes wonder if we are. Is there too much expectation on her at the moment?
Yeah, I think there is a little bit, and I think some of that is coming from the commentators and the press, but some of that's coming from Osaka herself. She is holding herself to a standard as if she is a current top 10 player, and certainly she has the talent. But to your point, she was out for a long time. Dealt with injuries, dealt with any number of challenges and setbacks. She hasn't played that much. The level still is there, but I think that the expectations that are on her right now don't match reality. And credit to her for aiming for that, for holding herself to that standard. But I wish that she would just kind of say, like, look, I'm trying to get my legs back under me. I'm gonna do my best, see what happens for the first half of the year, and then I'll reassess after after clay court season. Not going to happen though, based on everything that we've seen, right?
Yeah, I mean, just listening to, obviously, we've another player that's a Japanese player that's coming back is Kei Nishikori, and he obviously was during the Big Three, Big Four era as well. He was in the top 5, in the top 4 even. So he's always thought of himself as a top 10 player, but he's obviously had his struggles and he's coming back. But he's not thinking like I'm going to be back in the top 10. He's just taking it one step at a time, I think. And I think that's also kind of better. Yeah.
Players that are making a comeback. The big man, Riley Opelka, looks pretty solid. And I saw Andy Roddick talking about this on his podcast, and he's like, look, I'm not saying the guy's the best player in the world, but nobody wants to see him in their draw or in their side of the draw. And it's true because when you got a player with a serve like that, do you really want to go to potentially 4 or 5 tie breaks? Definitely not, because anything can happen when you get there.
Well, I mean, when he was coming through, I mean, it was a bit of a disappointment, really, obviously, because I mean, there was obvious comparisons to John Isner, right?
Yeah,
but he was like John Isner, but with seemingly a bit more mobility and a bit more about him in that way. So, yeah, I don't know. He's obviously talented, and it's kind of surprising maybe that he's done as well as he has done. Obviously, getting to the final in Brisbane, but yeah, I mean, I guess you're always going to have a chance when you've got a serve like that, right? It's something to build on. But,
I think it's unpleasant to play against. And look, just as like a hacker, who plays it on my local public courts, you don't want to play a guy with the massive serve because, at least for me, and I'm sure this is true, at every level to some extent, it's so hard to get in rhythm. If you have whole games where you're just hoping to essentially get your racket on the ball and get it back, it takes the fun out of it. It takes the rhythm out of it, and it's just a real challenge. Want to welcome to the chat my guy, Super Dave in Austin, Texas, America's coach. Dave, how we doing?
He's really sad to see Kyrgios out. That's
that's a funny comment. He should take a long-term break from tennis again. That's a guy. I was like a Kyrgios apologist for years and years and years because I have a soft spot for the head cases. But I saw some interviews with him these last couple of years where he would take pride in how little he tried, and that I can't root for.
I should say we've got a break point here, and seconds. Yeah, you guys are probably ahead of me. But Garcia was going big in some of those returns, and this is what you need maybe to get in our head a little bit.
Yeah. Ooh. That's the stuff from Garcia.
That's a good back. Oh, it goes long there from Naomi. So, game on, perhaps?
2 sets, maybe? I don't know. Are we
it was the commentators' jinx. We were just like, we were like, yeah, she's gonna get this done in 2.
Have we talked about my famously excellent prediction skills?
No.
I don't know that I've gotten a single prediction made on Talking Tennis right. Like literally not a single. Like what if you bet against the opposite of what I say is going to happen, you could be a rich person very quickly. For the folks in the chat, DraftKings.
Mhm.
I think Osaka's going to get this break back, for example.
Yeah, I mean, she absolutely can't do that. I mean, this is just the start of this set, so let's see how this goes. But it makes things a bit more interesting. Keeps Naomi on her toes.
Indeed.
Oh, yes. And let's not forget, Garcia herself, she's got a lovely backhand there. And she was going toe-to-toe with Naomi, and Naomi with the error there. How old is Garcia now? I forget now.
I want to say 29. I could be totally wrong. I'll look this up right now. Caroline.
Yeah, you can. Oh, she's 31. So
31. God, where does time go? Osaka hasn't won a major in 4 years, and Garcia's 31. It just
but that's it. This is COVID. The pandemic just took 2 years out of our lives, and it feels like we just lost 2 years or something. That's what I always feel like.
Especially with sports, and there were some really odd results from that period. And this is not just a tennis thing. This is across all sports from, I don't know, May of 2020 until the end of 2022. You look back, you're like, oh, like that person or that team won that? Oh, okay. Osaka applying a little bit of pressure here on Garcia's serve. Maybe with the intent to fulfill my prediction, the first one that I'll ever get right on the show. Nope.
Oh, win set after early break. Top 100 average was 76%. Garcia's 71%. So I guess they're trying to say that Garcia's not good at holding on to early leads. I mean,
bit of a sloppy second game here, yeah? To bring us to deuce on my feed. I don't know how far.
Yeah. Well, I've not. I'm still on the 30-40 or 40-30.
Oh, apologies. Spoiler. I'll hold off. But yeah, I mean, look, even prior to that point, a bit of a sloppy game. A winner from Osaka, and then some.
God, you're miles ahead then. Oh, so yeah. Well, that was a deep return there from Osaka, and
yeah,
that was a good return. So yeah, Mukova is, I mean, elite, really. On her day, she's just, and yeah, I think Osaka is going to have to be really on it if she's going to get a win in that second round match.
Absolutely.
If she does get through here.
While we're in a bit of a pressure point for Garcia here, are there any other matches that are coming up in the next 24 hours or so that you're particularly looking forward to?
In the next 24 hours, okay. I'm trying to remember what's actually on. I mean, I've been so focused on what's happened to well, of course, Rublev against Fonseca.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a good one. Yeah. I think everybody's got to be excited for that. That's gonna be, or it could be, really fun.
I mean, it seems like Brazilians are ever. Sorry, what?
I saw an interview with Rublev where he talked about not taking medication and kind of trying to work through stuff without it the old-fashioned way.
I read that article, but yeah, he's getting therapy and stuff. But
Yeah, as a guy who takes meds, like I'm like, man, like hey, it's your choice, it's your journey. Like, take the meds, though, man. They work. Like, it makes life so much easier.
Well, he said for him it wasn't working, but So
what's the saying? Try again.
Garcia with advantage here, so a good serve there. Other matches, interesting matches we got in terms of sort of good matchups. You got Alexandrova against Raducanu.
I got one for you. My the match that I'm begging John to let me try and jump on the feed for is Monfils Mapechi Pericard.
All right.
I think that's going to be a really look. Monfils in good form. Admittedly, when you make a deep run in the warm-up tournament, it can lead to challenges. Still adjusting the surface, all that stuff. But I mean, I just think that's going to be a really fun match of competing styles. Two French players should be really
different styles for sure. And but yeah, it's sort of interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure who's going to come out on top there, but
the odds makers have Mapechi Pericard, and I think with Monfils having made the deep run, I know that conventional wisdom is going to be tired or still adjusting. I think Monfils got he's got the gas in the tank still. He's got the veteran guile and savvy. He's wily.
Oh, that was wild from Garcia. I just saw that one there.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I mean, because I still think he's got enough like athleticism in him that he can sort of obviously, any returns that are going to become important, right? But if you can get some returns and if sort of can get into sort of extending the rallies a bit, and he's someone that can actually do that. So, yeah.
Monfils is like as much of an artist as he is a tennis player, and I think that style will allow him to take some risks and make some choices on the return of serve from a Mapechi Pericard that might give him an advantage. He'll do weird things. He'll stand 40 feet behind the baseline and then 6 feet in front of it. He'll guess right more often than any person reasonably should be able to. And I think that'll cause some challenges and also be really fun viewing tennis.
Yeah, I mean, when you get more contrast, like a difference in styles, it tends to be better, doesn't it? I mean,
yeah.
And if it's Riley Opelka against Mapechi card, is not necessarily his.
You want to see a 2-hour 5-set match because that's how you get there. I see that Dave posted that he's interested in watching Raducanu and that thinks that she might maybe get in the zone again. And I can't 100% tell if Dave is joking because, I of course want Raducanu to get in the zone as well, but there has not been a lot to suggest that's going to happen that I've seen. Maybe
she hasn't played. She hasn't played this year.
Yeah,
so that doesn't help. But I mean, I actually do think. I mean, she get a lot. I think she gets a lot of let's say haters. But then, I mean, obviously she does have talent. I mean, I don't think, but it's hard to really gauge when she's not playing that much. And then, obviously, Alexandrova, I think it's quite a, she'll do well here, in these conditions. So, I think it's a difficult first matchup for her, but I also think that it could be a good match, and I do think Raducanu could win. So, yeah, I mean. I should actually just say, Tommy Paul has been. O'Connell's got ahead in the 6-5 in that fourth set, so potentially could go 5 that one. If so, that's going to be obviously bad news for Tommy Paul, but good news for Keisha Nishikori, who will have to play the winner of that match, and he's already got an extra day's rest because he played on Sunday.
Absolutely. So, as the host of your show, I assume you are more plugged in to the happenings with Kei Nishikori. What do you think a successful run at the Australian Open looks like to him and to his camp?
I think a successful run, in all honesty, is him getting through some matches without any real physical issues. For me, I mean, that's the way I would be looking at it, because I mean, it helped that he has the 2 days rest. I mean, he doesn't want to be playing too many 5-setters. I mean, he did look like, like in Hong Kong, there was he had a couple of 3-set matches. He's maybe struggling a little bit, and I think he had a little bit of luck with but I mean, yeah, I mean, actually, if Tommy does go out, I mean, I think Tommy Paul should get through here, but I mean, then it actually opens up maybe for Nishikori to possibly go all the way 4th round or maybe the quarters even. But I mean, that would be ridiculous. But I just think there's a big doubt about whether 5-set tennis is just different from. He came through matches in Hong Kong. He came through matches in. He won that challenger as well, so he's able to come through 5 matches and apparently be okay. So, but yeah. Oh, that was a wild one there from Garcia. We're at 30 all, I can see here.
Yeah. Everyone in the chat talking about wanting to see fewer injuries, not really being able to tell these players levels. I'm not saying that changing the calendar is going to totally resolve that, but it is documented that it could help. So, write your member of Congress. I don't know, complain to your local tennis association. Just talk about it, because the more people talk about it, the more pressure is applied, and the more likely it is for something to change. And especially talk about it if you're a billionaire. That would be really helpful.
Oh. Yeah, that was a well-constructed point there from Garcia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the slice. And then going.
It's a very different set. I think that goes without saying.
Yeah. No, it's going pretty well. Yeah, Dave's there talking about at his age, Kay needs about a week off after playing a 5-set match. I see that Drape started off with 5 sets. He really needs to win more efficiently. I agree on Draper. I don't know if it's a sort of. I mean, he's also had physical issues with Draper, but I think sometimes I wonder about his toughness sort of mentally, because with the weapons that Draper has, he should not be struggling in 5 sets. I mean, I didn't actually see the match, but I heard that Navoni was making a lot of errors, so he wasn't playing like tremendously. But
I don't want to knock the UK climate, but it's just not really conducive to training for 5-set high-level tennis matches in Australia, right? I don't know if you train in Florida in the off season or maybe Spain or whatever. Yeah. But look, the joke on Twitter at least was that he had the immune system of a Victorian child, and he kind of looks like it sometimes at the end of matches. So,
but I mean, let's remember though, Andy Murray was obviously from the same island that he has.
Where did Andy Murray go train when his career took off?
True, he went to Florida, right?
Exactly.
Well, I know. Also today, a British player that won was a Scottish player as well, Farnley. I think the US college thing has been just playing there has been really good for him. I think he seems like he doesn't have the weapons say that Draper does, but he seems more tougher and sort of match hardened and sort of mentally as well. Dealing with a hostile crowd today against Kyrgios, which they were really hostile. I mean, they were just cheering every little mistake that he would double fault. Even just after he missed the first serve, they were going, yes.
Have you had the chance to watch an American college match before?
Have I? Sorry, say again.
Have you the chance to watch American college teams play in person?
I've not seen a real match. I've seen clips on YouTube, and I've seen bits on social media, and the crowds look crazy. Some of them.
It's outrageous. So one of the things that they do, if they're the level below the team, is there's a club team, right? And the best players in the club team sometimes will be able to walk on to the formal collegiate team their junior or senior year. And one of the criteria they use for club players is they have to go to the matches and they have to cheer. And so these kids are so loud and they're outrageous and they're making jokes and they're singing songs and doing chants. and it is a really, really fun environment. I wish that tennis actually would let a few tournaments every year be that style of environment. It's got to be a challenge for the players, though. I think it's great preparation for facing hostile crowds, and it's a better viewing experience, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. That's it's got to have a good benefit. Yeah, certainly mentally.
Yeah,
and also, yeah, it's sort of like you're playing Davis Cup, but arguably even crazier sometimes, right? Like every week, right? So.
It also, like, you're able to get high level reps against new styles, new games from players across the world, while simultaneously maintaining a consistent training schedule and having a home base. So whereas like when you're just grinding out tournaments on the Challengers Tour, you're on a plane every week, maybe every 10 days if you're lucky. For the collegiate, you get 6 to 8 months a year at your home base training. When you go for a match, you're going from anywhere from 1 to 4 days, and you're going with a team, and you have reasonable accommodations that are paid for by, your scholarship or your program.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense, I think, for a lot of players. It obviously benefits them a lot. I mean, certain players, if they're just obviously like, every player is like obviously just going to walk into the top 50 from, they're that good from a young age, then I can't imagine. I mean, I was never good enough to play. They were talented enough to play, but I can't imagine being 18 and just sort of stepping in, like start playing ITFs. I think that would be possibly because, like, as well, if you're a junior player, a lot of the players, they're used to just winning, right?
Yeah.
Because a junior's like, oh, you're a top junior, so you're going to go pro, and then suddenly they're playing professionals, and they're like, at first they're just losing every week, and then you're just like playing in these terrible little like tournaments with no people. So I can imagine that just being really tough, even if like you're like a good tennis player, then it takes a while, I guess, to build that up. But
yeah, I'm sure that's like, look, when you're 18, you take 3 losses in a row, it could feel like the end of the world. And you don't have to be a high level tennis player to feel that way. You could be playing local tournaments and feel that way because you're 18, right? And I think the college environment, the team environment, I think is really helpful for development too, because you get to learn from your peers. You get to cope with the pressure, with other folks. You get to talk through those things in a way that I just don't think that you're able to if you're grinding out challengers. Maybe we will see a hybrid system of folks putting together kind of small teams almost of players that travel together, in groups that share some of the costs, maybe share a coach. A little awkward they play each other, so it's tough to make that work. Whereas in college, it's pretty straightforward. Garcia looking pretty solid here, man. What do we think she's gonna take this to a third?
I mean, it's looking like it at the moment.
It is. Still flashes from Osaka. But Garcia's in the driver's seat.
She's going to get that sort of turn there. But yeah, she's got to do better. Oh, that was lovely play. The drop shot there was a smart choice.
So whenever I'm having a struggle in a match, the first number I look at is my first serve make rate. Because everything stems from that for me. That's true for many players. Osaka currently is making 25% of her first serves in the second set, 4 for 16. That number goes up. Watch things turn around.
That's I just noticed it was Beneteau in Garcia's corner. Do you know Julian Beneteau?
Oh, French player?
Now retired, yeah. But
yeah.
But I mean, he's well known for having reached how many was it? 10 ATP finals and losing all of them.
Oof. Oof.
That sucks, right?
It sounds like he should coach Zverev.
I mean, in singles, he's won some in doubles and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, sucks.
Oh gosh. Can you imagine? What are his dreams like? I know what he dreams about. I just wonder how bad exactly they are. Does he just replay the points in his head?
I think though, if I remember correctly, that he had a good run though at Garcia, the Paris Masters. So that was kind of like a highlight for him. So
yeah,
he didn't obviously win it, but yeah.
Garcia is just playing a much more aggressive set here, it looks like.
Yeah, and she's doing that. She's going big.
Yeah.
On those returns when she can. I mean, I always think like, yeah, if you get a pretty good server, you want to try and do that.
I will tell you, looking at just some of the baseline stats, though, I feel pretty darn good about Osaka getting it done here. I don't know that Garcia can keep this level up for another full set with this level of aggression. Osaka's winner count has also dropped pretty significantly this set compared, in addition to her first serve percentage, which is still only 25% in the second set. Ooh, Tommy Paul going to the fifth.
No way.
We've seen a real Polisance this last couple of years. You know, he was a top talent. He was supposed to be like the guy, the American guy. Like he was always more talented, you know, or considered to be more talented than Fritz. And I think unlike Fritz, who you know really became a practice court workhorse, Tommy Paul had a little bit of fun as a youngster, as seen in that Netflix show they canceled.
Oh, that backhand up the line there.
Oh,
then it was countered by Garcia with that. Oh my God, I didn't expect that. How did she get that back?
Very saucy stuff so far.
Wow, that was insane. So that was a good backhand. I thought maybe it's going to be a winner from Osaka, but then the little squash up cross court almost from Garcia was just insane.
What a play. What a point. Osaka's first serve percent has now dwindled to 23%, 5 for 22 in the second set. She's won all 5 of the ones that she's made, so that's good at least. Tommy Paul will not start hurling like Tiafoe. Tommy Paul, now that he's sort of taking tennis more seriously, has elite level fitness.
Tommy Paul is, for me, perhaps the most interesting like American for me at the top, because I mean, I think, I don't know, like I feel like with American players, there's just been, everyone's wanting to know when the next one's going to come that has that X factor. I mean, like the last one was probably Agassi, maybe, right? That's just, you know what I'm saying? Like there's going to be a real slam contender.
When they're swagged out a little. Because like Sampras was a great player, but he was like the anti-charisma. And Agassi, you know, he had the hair, he had the short blue jeans, you know, he had the look. And then even after that, you know, he had the kind of that pigeon walk. Yeah. I mean, Roddick had the swag, and he just came up at the wrong time. You know, what can you, if he'd been born 6 years earlier, who knows how many majors he wins.
The problem for him is like, what was his best? I mean, he had the best chance maybe to win a slam at, I mean, he did win at US Open, but obviously he got to some finals in Wimbledon, and he had to come up against Federer, right? So it's just like,
it's you know, what can you do? I don't think that Fritz is that guy. I know that he's right now the top ranked American, and he seems to be getting closer every year. It just doesn't seem like he has that final gear to put him over the top against an Alcaraz, a center, or a Djokovic, and maybe in a 5-set, you know, major final. I think Ben Shelton does, though. Man, that guy is swagged out of his skull all the time. He also, you know, you see these guys talk like you look at a Casper Ruud, and like, you know, he'll be interviewed, and he's realistic about playing some of the top guys, you know, especially a few years ago, where like, oh, you know, really, really tough, going to try my best, but you know, Novak Djokovic is a great player. Ben Shelton gives them zero respect. And I don't mean that he's disrespectful. I mean that he's like, I'm going to go in and I can win and I want to win and I'm going to ball out today. And I think he's got the mentality that you need to get over the hump against legends.
Another one who played in US college, didn't he? And then didn't stay too long because obviously he's got that talent. But yeah, I mean, he
with the serve, right?
Yeah, he does have that, I guess, but it's hard to see me like, you know, put him. I guess what I'm thinking is like, when is there going to be an American that is up there with like Sinner and Alcaraz, or you know, the hype that Fonseca's getting at the moment? You know, we haven't. We're still waiting to see that, and I guess it's going to happen at some point.
Yeah,
probably. But and when it does happen, well, it's going to be the hype's going to be ridiculous. But like, I mean, at the moment, yeah, it's all those guys. Well, for ages have been coming from Europe, but well,
I think Fields is a player who was hyped up, and maybe should be even more hyped up. I think that the thing about him is he doesn't look young. He doesn't look like a teen, he's in his late teens at this point, and he has been on the tour now for a couple seasons, and so I think people don't look at him as like an up and coming prospect. But man, I view him at this point as every bit as exciting as a as a Holgeroon. I view him as every bit as exciting as a Fonseca. I think that his ceiling is as high, but it seems like we're kind of on to the next generation now of because he's already been on the tour for a couple of years.
Yeah. Arthur Fees, right? Bit of a disappointment for him though, in just because he played in Hong Kong, right? And he lost.
I believe so. He won some bonus, whereas like I think he got the most wins in like ATP 500 tournaments, and then got a big check for that.
Oh yeah, I mean he won Tokyo and he won Hamburg, was it? Yeah. And also he beat like Zverev in that Hamburg final. That was a great win, and then it was a really crazy match against Umber in the Tokyo final.
Yeah,
I think he's got an X factor. Yeah, that's kind of
what I did not know that there was a 500 bonus pool until I saw that. So yeah, he won 615 grand for having earned the most points at an ATP 500 ATP 500 events in 2024. And I feel like that's kind of like a fun little thing. But if anything, it feels like they need to pump that number up if they're going to do it.
There's a weird. It just remind me of something. No, that's a different thing. There's a kind of like a rule: if you finished in the top 20, then you have to play like a certain number of 500s in the next season.
Yeah,
and even if your ranking is outside of that, you get in. Did you know that?
Wait, so what is the number of 500s you have to play if you're a top 20 player?
So like whoever finished top 20 in 2024, I think they have to play like
it's all the
I'm not sure if it's 2 or 3 or I'm not sure the number, but like they have to play a few 500s for the next year. I don't know. It's like a rule. I guess they want to try and ATP, like, so let's say they have to try and justify that it's a 500, like because otherwise like you need to separate it from just being a 250. They have to have a certain number of players that are but there's some weird rule where like even if the player is like drops in ranking, they can still automatically get into the 500 the next, like a certain number of 500s the next year. It's weird.
That's so again,
but it rarely happens.
Is this system optimized for players and viewers? It feels like no.
No.
Okay. Garcia might end this set a little bit early.
Ooh. So I've got it at 30 all. You're probably ahead of me.
Apologies, Eddie. Spoiler alert. It's 30-40 on my feed. I have no further comment at this time. Let me know when you're up to.
Okay, yeah, 30-40.
The suspense is very
Osaka.
real.
I mean, we should have known when that prediction was made.
I'm really, really excited I could continue my streak of getting every single prediction made on Talking Tennis wrong. That's the Zach Chakowski promise. If you're listening to me, you know it's a word that I can't say on this channel.
Wow, okay, return winner there from Garcia. And Garcia says, Naomi, I'm not going away. Wow, okay. Yeah, well, Naomi's going to have to up her game really here. That's what Garcia was definitely the better player in that second set. And
yeah, I want to ask a question of a coach in the chat.
Wait, is that right? First serve percentage 29% from Osaka?
That's the question I want to ask. Dave, if you have a player that makes 29% of their first serves in a set, what advice would you give them for the next set? I bet I know the answer.
Is that?
Look, and it was at one point, it was in the low 20s throughout the set. So it actually ticked up at the end of the set. That is just simply not a viable number.
Is that what it says on the website as well?
29%, 8 for 28. It's a miracle. I mean, kudos to Osaka for only double faulting once.
And the good stat there was that she was winning 80% of the points that went in, but yeah, obviously not getting enough in.
But kudos, right? Like she hit 20-second serves, and she was in pressure positions the entirety of the set, and only one double fault. I think also the winner error ratio, 5 winners, 11 unforced errors, not going to get it done, especially with Garcia 10 winners, only 11 unforced errors. One thing I will point out though, 0 return unforced errors for Osaka. So it's not like she's returning poorly. I think that she's just not getting the easy wins on her serve that she needs to apply pressure.
Yeah. Well, obviously she's going to have to get more first serves in. Yeah, even if she has to take a little bit more off, put a little bit more shape on it, it's just try and get back into the rhythm again, because you don't want to be given. Because obviously Garcia was going big and returning a lot of those second serves there.
Yeah. Tennis is such a fun. I mean, 6-3, not particularly close. Problems for days with Osaka's first serve. Garcia only won 3 more points in that set.
Wow.
And that's tennis.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons is, obviously you get much more breaks of serves on the women's game but when it comes to returning or the ability to return, these top players, they can all hit the ball well. Their strokes are good, so it's it's just it's much more difficult to hold for these players. So Osaka is one of the players that actually does have a first serve that's it wins her a lot of matches. So she needs to get that back.
Okay, it looked like Garcia was going to cruise to potentially a love service game. Osaka battling, hanging in there. Yeah, so John just pointed out, 0 break points opportunities for Osaka. It actually looks like she had 1 break point, I think, in set number 2. And Garcia had 2 break points, capitalized on both. And again, I think this just shows how slim the margins are in high-level tennis. It's one of the things that's really fun and exciting, but also has to be immensely frustrating for players. There were 3 break points the whole set, and there were 2 breaks.
Yeah, always the top guys were always good at just knowing what to do and sometimes change things up and make the right plays under pressure when it comes to those points, and just I don't know if that sometimes it comes from experience, but sometimes I think it's just something that's inbuilt.
Yeah.
And
the chat is confident in Osaka. 76% think she's going to win.
But that was that before the match, right? Sort of before.
That wasn't a flash poll. Yeah. I wonder what that number would be if polled now.
Yeah,
if you're in the
close
chat,
to 50%, maybe, or less. I don't know.
Yeah. Chat, make some predictions. Let's see what you guys think. Who's gonna get this? Who's gonna get this win here?
Yeah, we can maybe find that out. And you're talking about matches that I was looking forward to tomorrow. Maybe the most one-sided contest in the whole first round is Medvedev against the Thai player Samrej, who only got in from the Asia Pacific playoff, which didn't have a particularly strong lineup. But I just think it's funny that he's just drawn against Medvedev and he's like ranked 400 in the world, and he's on Rod Laver for his first like ever slam appearance. And then it's just like funny to me. Tennis is like that sometimes, because like I watched him at the Seoul Challenger here, and he did okay. He got to the quarterfinal, beat Coleman Wong, and yeah, but like
that's a tough first match. That's like that's your first day on the job. Is like, you know, in American football is playing the Super Bowl.
Wow,
like, that's tough.
That was a great cross-court backhand from Garcia, that winner. Yeah, so crazy experience. But Samrej, though, he was actually training with Djokovic in Thailand before. So that's where Djokovic was training before AO. So, I mean, I guess the warm weather is good preparation, you know? So, but yeah, it's interesting that Djokovic was doing that. Good experience for him, I guess. I mean,
speaking of our pal Novak, I think we both read the GQ article, correct?
I did not know.
Okay, well, give it a read. He alludes to maybe having been poisoned when he was in Australia during the COVID fiasco.
I saw that pop up.
Yeah, and like, you know, who is to say? Certainly, you know, not me. That felt it strained my imagination.
Oh, that was good play, and she gives up the pace a little bit there, and also let out a roar when she won that point. I mean, it seems also strange timing that he would say that now, but I mean, I guess I don't know the context though. Was he asked about like what?
He sort of casually mentioned it. He talked about like how he sort of gave his side of the account of when he was detained in Australia, and I'm sure that there were, you know, elements of truth in that. You know, there's two sides to every story. I don't think that he would have gone if he'd known that he was going to get detained the way that he did. But yeah, in that portion, he's like, when I got home, I got tested and I had elevated levels of this and this and that would indicate that somebody.
He said lead, was it?
Yeah, it was. And I think mercury maybe was the other one.
I mean, yeah, that could come from eating fish. Mercury.
That's the funniest possible outcome. Someone's like, I got poisoned. It's like, nah, man, you just ate a bunch of fish.
Yeah, but like the ghost is saying, like, if you tuna can actually, if you're not supposed to eat more than like you're not meant to eat too much, because certain like large fish, they can contain mercury. So
yeah,
or too much mercury. So there you go. But I mean, I'm not entirely convinced that Djokovic necessarily is qualified to sort of make a judgment on that.
He's not an expert on poisons. He's no Pirate Roberts, to borrow from Dave.
He might really think that, but you know.
So I want to make sure we get to this because Dan has brought it up twice, and both times are worth talking about. Let's go back to Stefanos Tsitsipas for a minute. Another early exit in a major. What does the rest of his career look like? Is he washed already? You know, not everybody plays to their mid and late 30s. Is he on? You know, does he still have it?
Oh my God, that was. Well, I think he actually needs to I think he needs a coach that needs to tell him what's wrong with because it's just he's got his got clear weaknesses that, especially that backhand and just
his brain is the biggest weakness.
Yeah, but it's surprising to me because I honestly thought he might have been able to win a slam at one point, and now it's like it would take a few miracles for that to happen. But
I mean, they're both tall guys, right? And so I think that they came up in the same generation, so the comps with him and Zverev were always going to be there, but they're just not even in the same universe anymore. I think nobody wants to play Zverev.
No.
Tsitsipas is an opportunity for most players at this point. What are we seeing there? Osaka ripping that forehand again a little bit.
Oh, the redirect. Yeah.
This is a pretty game. We got forehand.
But this is good. I mean, this is what this is the test we wanted to see. Okay, Garcia brought it. Now Osaka needs to step up. I mean, if she's going to be, if she is sort of top 10 in her head or whatever, this is she needs to kind of show that she's got that fight in her.
Yeah. Welcome, Lukey, to the chat as well. Dan, I know that Dan asked the Tsitsipas question to set up that it could be the Greek tragedy for him. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Well played, Dan. I do want to go back to that for a second. I think there is a all-world coach that joined somebody's team recently that for one reason or another, getting the sense might become available sooner than anybody expected. Don't want to get too much into the situation, but Goran Ivanisevic is obviously coaching Rybakina. He was my favorite childhood player. He's been an excellent coach to Djokovic. Was an excellent coach to Djokovic. And I think that someone, that caliber could maybe help Stefanos fix his brain a little bit. Because hitting the tennis ball is not the issue. It's the other stuff, primarily, in my mind. And I think that he needs somebody really, really high level to get him there. Also, though, I believe that Brad Gilbert is available again. And that would be a weird match, but an interesting one.
Oh. A little bit of luck there for Osaka. Obviously clipped off the tape. But, I mean, I think it was smart to go back in behind Garcia there. But, yeah.
Osaka's starting to play, starting to take over a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
I think really dictating tempo.
God. Wish I could play tennis like that.
I've made this joke before on this stream, but every time I watch an Alcaraz play, I get worse at tennis because you see him do something awesome. You're like, oh, I should try that. No, you shouldn't.
Great return. Yeah, I mean, Osaka's feeling it at the moment. Can she take advantage here? Oh man, yeah. I mean, but now it's like when I see players play, then it makes me want to play tennis. Like sometimes if I see like really good tennis, but then I'll try to do stuff on the court, and the brain's telling me to do something, but my body's saying no.
Yeah. Monfils is a player like that. I mean, I've watched him since I was a kid, and every time he plays a match, it just makes me want to play tennis more.
Yeah.
Where are you in your stream? What is
good
happening?
break? I mean, she just got the break, so that's it. So
Okay.
that was a good break. I mean, she took control there.
Yep. Really, really interesting start to set 3. The 76% of Talking Tennis listeners and viewers that made the prediction probably feeling pretty good right now.
Mm-hmm.
I see that in the chat we are ranking fast food and fast casual spokespeople. And right now, Ronald McDonald is above Jared from Subway, which, say what you will about Ronald McDonald, feels appropriate.
Okay, wait.
Where does the Burger King fall in the mix? Where does Wendy's fall in the mix? I don't know. Eddie, thoughts?
You're talking about Ronald McDonald? I mean, I have no idea what you're talking about here. Sorry. What time is it in Melbourne? It is just coming up to midnight. It is just coming up to 10 p.m. here in Seoul. So there's a 2-hour time difference. So yeah, they've still got a late finish, but it looks like we're not going to have any of those 4 a.m. finishes that we've had before. At the moment, though, still at 3-3 in that fifth set between Tommy Paul and Christopher Arcaro. And all the other women's matches are done except the one that we're watching right now. So, yeah, I mean, this is not going to go on too late.
Yeah. That Andy Murray match, you know, I live in North Carolina in the United States. And so that match, you know, it was on when I went to bed. And then I woke up early and it was on when I woke up for like another 2 hours. That was he playing Kokonakis in the match?
Yes. Yes.
What a match.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Yeah.
That's look, if you're an American tennis fan and you want to watch the end of the match, it was fantastic. If you're a player or a spectator that was there in person, that was I'm sure immensely frustrating.
I know someone that was actually there.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Not a friend of a friend, but they are Australian, and I think they probably left like halfway through. So they.
Oh wow! Like, oh, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Like, oh, this is over. I'm gonna head home, and then that happens.
Yeah. That was. I mean, I like Garcia. She's getting aggressive here in the return to her, but then.
Yeah. By the way, Eddie, it is 10:01 a.m. here in Buenos Aires, so we are exactly 12 hours difference.
So Zach, you live in Buenos Aires?
My wife and I both work remotely, and so we are doing we kind of jokingly called it a study abroad in Buenos Aires, but we're working from here for the month of January before going home.
Fantastic. I mean, that's great. I mean, I've never been to Buenos Aires.
A lot of beautiful clay courts, a lot of beautiful and a fun city. I mean, it is absolutely worth a visit if you're ever able to make it over. We also greatly enjoyed Santiago, Chile. I want to go to the chat for a moment. So Dan asked if I was going to the next Olympics in Los Angeles. It's a long way away, so I can't say for sure, but very much hope to, and would love to see some of the tennis at the LA Olympics. Okay. Oh,
that was a nice. Well, obviously Garcia going big in the return, but good response from Osaka. That forehand again, driving through.
Look, Osaka is starting to dictate play, bigly, as some might say. And her first serve percent. 79% now. I think that she's taking Dave's advice. She's only winning 64% of her first serves, but the make rate has gone way up and seems to be preventing her from just being constantly attacked in that second.
Another good hold, and that is she's bringing the X factor here.
Yeah, we're seeing awesome level. 7 winners, 3 errors from Osaka. 5 winners, only 2 errors from Garcia.
I mean, it's turned out. Yeah, and so it was been a really good match, actually.
Yeah, I feel lucky. Yeah, I mean, I think that this might be comparably good as the Mulfi Mapechi Pericard match later.
Yeah, or the Samraj versus Medvedev.
Can you imagine an upset there? Would that be the biggest?
That would probably take Medvedev being poisoned, but
get him a Subway tuna fish sub and let's see what we can get.
No. Well, what I would say is, because I've actually one of the few people that's probably watched Sam Ridge several times. So like, I mean, he's like 6'3". He's not small, so he can, and he's got a good serve, a bit of power. So yeah, maybe if he serves well, he can like sort of keep one of the sets closed. But I mean, I would imagine with the way Medvedev returns that, like, I mean, it should be a Medvedev winning easy. But yeah, you never know. Tennis is funny sometimes, but yeah.
I'm looking at this bracket right now on the men's side, and Mickelson looks like he potentially could have a pretty straightforward draw for a little bit, and that could be interesting. The Shelton Nakashima round one matchup should be a fun one for any American tennis fan. I think Nakashima is a really solid player. I'm not sold on his top line level. You know, he plays such a solid game, but it just doesn't seem like he has that extra gear that he needs to get over the hump against the top 10, top 15 guys.
Yeah. Although I have to admit, that when I saw, because I was sort of feeling like that about Nakashima, but I was at the match at US Open when he beat Holger Rune. I think, was it the first round, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I was actually there watching it, and I was like, that's the best I've ever seen Nakashima play. I was like, damn, he was just in the zone at least for like a couple of sets. And I like, obviously the crowd, everyone's behind him, but it was just like,
yeah,
I didn't really think that he was that good, right? But yeah, it's a question of whether
it changed your perception. That makes sense. I think, you know, whenever you see, especially in person, I think when you see a player really bring their level, it can change how you think about them. I haven't seen that out of Nakashima yet, but I can totally understand that experience. One other match I just want to kind of draw attention to on the men's side, and then I want to go to the women's for a minute. Tiafoe versus Fabian Morozin. Both of them went 5, and not only did they both go 5, it wasn't like 2-1 and 1-2 and 2. It was like 7-6, 6-3, 6-4, 7-6, 6-3, 6-3, 7-6, 7-5, 7-5, 7-5. Like, it's these were long 5-setters. Every 5-setter is long. These were particularly long, and so that's going to just be two guys like absolutely gutting it out if that goes long.
Yeah, Shelton Nakashima, that is actually just a brutal first round draw, isn't it, really? I mean, we've also got Triple Z against Rune. I mean, Rune's been a disappointment, if I'm honest, because, I mean, I remember watching his run he won Paris, right? And he beat Novak in that final. And I remember being, like, quite excited that. So that was just like a great run. But yeah, he's not really matched anything like that since then, and had a couple of slam runs. But yeah,
he just doesn't seem to be improving. You know, you look at Sinner, and I recognize this is, you know, not maybe a perfect example, but look at his game 3 years ago versus today. And the baseline game was there. He just does every single thing better, and his fitness has improved. You know, his strength has improved, his mental, everything. It's the same game, just better at everything. You look at Rune, what is he better at than he was 2 years ago, 3 years ago? I'm not sure.
No, and if anything, it seems like he regressed somewhat. I mean, I don't know his confidence but you would think like maybe with the right coach, then he should be able to get up again to.
Yeah.
I mean, really, because it was looking like he's going to be like a top 5 mainstay, and yeah.
One match I want to draw attention to in a second rounder, Diana Schneider, also a former collegiate tennis player, lefty, playing Ayla Tomljanovic. That's going to be an interesting one because Schneider is like, you know, a lot of the players are kind of putting her in the same, on the women's side, in the same breath as Mira Andreeva, as somebody to really keep an eye out for, who might be taking the leap. And then you've got the home court fave with Tomljanovic, and so that should be a fun one.
Oh, Kyrgios has said realistically, I can't see myself playing a singles match here again.
Fine. Okay.
Well, Dave's going to be disappointed.
I just, you look, the guy doesn't like playing tennis.
Ooh.
And who are we to say you don't like your job, keep doing it? He doesn't like his job. He wants to be a commentator and an internet troll. Fine. Go nuts, is what I say to Kyrgios. The will he, won't he, finally get it back. I'm just kind of over Kyrgios.
That was, I mean, Garcia was given Osaka some of her own medicine there.
Oh yeah.
And this is second serve now from Osaka. Garcia steps in. She's gonna go big cross court. And yeah, she worked that point well. And two break points here. Break point here, 15-40 on the Osaka serve.
Okay.
Luckily, the Google score is quite far behind, like my stream.
I am now, I think, two.
Oh, the serve out wide, but it is returned chip back. And yeah, that's okay. Finish 1-2 from Osaka as she should. But is she going to be able to hold here? First of all, save this break point.
Big moment. The match might hinge on this point.
Oh, and yeah, Garcia just going a bit too wild there at that return. But yeah, I mean, you have to kind of go big, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, credit to both players playing gutsy games. Fun viewing tennis. They're going for it. They're leaving it all out there. Whoever ends up advancing from this match, I think, is showing a level where they can potentially make a run here. We know that Osaka can. Maybe Garcia could too, the way that they're playing. Really quick, Eddie, we did get a question a moment ago from Dave. What frame and strings are you using these days? And then do you use a leather grip or lead tape, possibly?
Honestly, I'm not really playing tennis much these days, but it's been a while. But I'm still using the same racket, the Babolat Pure Drive, which I've had for a while. And I did have a Yonex, like an E-Zone that I was using, but I have both of them still. But I went back to the Babolat. I just didn't really like the Yonex. And then I'm not using lead tape, but yeah. And I'm just using I don't even remember what strings they are.
I love using lead tape. If I'm finding myself not playing aggressively enough, you just give it a little lick, and like next thing you know, you're going for it. It's fantastic.
Jaime Faria plays Djokovic. John? I thought you were learning Portuguese, right? Are you going to do a Portuguese stream at some point?
Speaking of Portuguese, would be remiss if we didn't mention that Nuno Borges has made it on to the second round, which for all the Morgado heads in the chat know is a huge moment.
I mean, it was good result for him against Muller, right? Set down. I think did he not have did he retire in the?
I don't know actually. I know that Borges moved on. I thought that they finished it out, but I could be wrong.
No, I mean Borges. No, he didn't retire, but he lost in Auckland, but I think he had some physical issue or something. But I guess he's okay, and plays Thompson in the second round. Could be a pretty good matchup, that one actually.
Should be a fun one, yeah. Back to sticks for a second. So I'm a Prince Phantom 97p guy. They actually, unfortunately, in the new version of the Phantoms, they didn't make my frame size. It's a really nice blend of control and arm comfort. I had some shoulder issues over the years, and my game is it's more power based than accuracy than placement based, and so I kind of was comfortable sacrificing some of the power for having a shoulder that actually works. I used to play with the Abalats primarily. And then from a string setup, I like to do a mix of Luxilon, what's it called? Luxilon soft polys, and then Prince synthetic gut. 54 and 48.
Yeah, I've just got the polys in, but I think what I've tried. Oh, what's the running forehand? Garcia's playing well here. But they're both playing well.
Look, it's a ton of winners this set. And not, I mean, the tail end of that game, Garcia maybe went a little too big, but, tons and tons of winners.
This is a good advert for the game here.
Oh, yeah. Goes to your question. I wouldn't say I blew out my shoulder. I would say, an injury of attrition. I played baseball growing up as well. And so I just had some inflammation. It took me too long to go to a doctor, and it took me too long to go to PT. So I made it worse. And now if anything hurts even a little bit, I'm going straight to the PT because they are absolute miracle workers.
Yeah.
Another winner.
And it's actually looking like Paul's going to take this fifth set. At least he's got this love 30 on the O'Connell serve.
You know what I got to say?
Oh, 15-30 now, sorry.
The Paul-assance continues.
Well,
that joke was appalling.
Is that another? just keep going. Oh, good return.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Well, could be an interesting one. Let's see how, if it's Paul against Nishikori, could be a good match.
Oh yeah. That could go 5, and that could be a beautiful 5-setter.
If it's a 5-setter, well, that's only got to be benefit for Nishikori given his record.
You'd think so. I mean, look, he's what, 28 and 6 in 5 sets? It's something ridiculous, right?
28 and 8 or something. Yeah,
that's so crazy. That's so crazy. I very much am going to try and make time to watch that match. That's going to be a fun one. Are there any other matches on the women's side that you're looking forward to, or are keeping an eye on?
On the women's, I need to remind myself who's playing because, just my brain is terrible. So, I mean, there's Navarro against Stearns. That could be good if that's on. That's a bit fun. Peyton Stearns. I mean, I think Ghosty's a Stearns fan, but I mean, yeah, she's a pretty good player, Stearns. Quite a battler. And
oh my god, the Tommy Paul banter in the chat is outrageous right now. That's very good. That was very, very good, Ghost. That guy. Hey, we might see potentially a round 2 matchup of Ons Jabeur versus Maria Sakkari. Something that just simply could not have happened in round 2 over the last several years. Is that one that you would be interested in watching?
Sorry, what were you saying?
Sakkari and Jabeur, if they both win, could meet in round 2. And that just simply could not have happened a year or two ago. They both were too highly ranked. And so that's one that I'm kind of keeping an eye on. Is that a match that you would find compelling?
Yeah, I mean, both of them are sort of trying to get back up, right? To so but I would imagine. I mean, I think Jabeur's she has to get through against. She's playing Kalinina. Yeah, I mean, I think that match against Osorio could be interesting as well. But let's see if she gets through. It would be good. But I think maybe Jabeur has got a chance here in the draw to go through.
Yeah,
I think an interesting match as well. Actually, is Kalinskaya against Kimberly Birrell. She's I think Birrell came through qualies, but she's actually a pretty tough player, and it's a good test for her, I think. So let's see if Kalinskaya, if she's on form, maybe we can out hit her just off the court. But I think Birrell's looking pretty tough at the moment. So I would be surprised if that happens.
Yeah. I want to see the Rybakina match, which is tonight my time, tomorrow morning I think yours. Look, I'm such a fan of her. I don't know, like anybody else, what's going on with Vukov. It's a weird situation. It's an uncomfortable situation. I love Goran. I'm a fan of Rybakina, and I hope that she does well. But definitely, there's just strange stuff swirling around there, and uncertainty, leads to rumors, but also, there's some smoke there, right? The investigation is ongoing, and I don't know when it'll be complete, but I just want to keep an eye on that.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I mean, I haven't. It's a weird situation, but I haven't been looking too much into it because I just. But this is a weird one where, because if I don't think it's necessary, then I don't want to.
Yeah, sure.
Spend too much time on people's personal life, but this is a weird one because it's affecting like the actual tour here, and it's like our own coach, right? So I mean, for at the moment though, I mean, if you're talking if it's affecting her tennis, I haven't seen too much of evidence of that yet, right? I mean, she seemed like obviously took that time out and then she came back, but she's been okay, right? She's had some good wins as well, but Rybakina, she plays the kid though, right? I mean, I would imagine she should be okay to get through that one. Jones, the wild card, right? But then I think in the next round she might have to play another the American 17-year-old Eva Jovic, is it? Who seems to be very talented. So okay, it's a good start here for Osaka. She gets a love 15 on the Garcia serve.
I'm actually I tend to agree with Ghosty that Navarro and Pagula are fine players, but it's hard for me to get excited about them for off the court reasons that are totally out of their control. So no judgment, but just it doesn't get not my cup of tea, But I am 1 degree of separation from Navarro. I lost 6-0, 6-1 to a guy that played mixed doubles with her in the juniors and won a match. So I think that's kind of fun. Anyone who was playing mixed doubles with Emma Navarro in the juniors is much, much better than me as an adult, if that wasn't clear from the result that I got.
That was just wide from Garcia, so big chance here for Osaka to get this done.
Will we see our second set in a row end on a break? Looking increasingly like yes.
Wow, that Tommy Paul O'Connell match is really tight still at 5-all in the 5th set. But here we are. Oh, it's a great return from Osaka, and she's got 3 match points now.
Okay. This is great. I mean, look, I think no knock on Garcia, but Osaka is so good for tennis, and she brings so many fans to the table. And she elevates the matches that she's a part of because more people watch, and so for the sake of tennis, it's tough not to root a little bit for Osaka to have a nice run here and to be back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's like actually good this match in terms of like because Garcia was actually been bringing it, and to see Osaka like that's got her competitive juices flowing, and she's had a chance to like show what she can do, and it's been really good.
Can I complain about my one of my big pet peeves as we enter the end of this match?
It was a great. Oh, and it goes long there. Okay, so Osaka is through.
Congratulations to Osaka, good win. And now I have to use my feed to say I think I would really, really like to see best of 5 in on the women's side of things in Grand Slams. I think that marathons are not different distances for men and women. I think that, they are more than capable of playing 5. I think it creates an additional opportunity to bring in advertising dollars because there's more court time. I think it's more TV time for the players that are involved. Realistically, the first year or two, yes, there will be some fitness and fatigue issues as people adjust to the format. But to me, it makes no sense that they don't play the same length. And I think it'd be good for the game over time to make it.
I would maybe if I was going to introduce best of 5 into women's tennis, I would maybe just start with the final or something, because I feel like
interesting.
Well, the only reason is that I think it's kind of sucks when you have a final that's it ends in 2 sets, but
yeah,
and
should be best of 5 for the Olympics too. Let's also include that in this.
On the other hand, it's also best of 5 isn't always great when you have just 3 blowout sets, but at the
same time, how many times have we seen a Federer or a Nadal, especially Nadal on clay, roll somebody 1-2 and 2, and you know what? And that's what happens the first couple of rounds. No one complains.
Mm-hmm. And Naomi's speaking now.
Eddie, I think John posted it in the comments. Would love to get a couple minutes talking about Osaka Muchova. Would love to hear your thoughts on what their strategies will be going into the match, kind of key metrics that you're going to be watching, anything like that.
Well, I mean, wait, is when will that be, that match?
Oh gosh, let's see.
It'll be on. Okay, today's Monday. It'll be on Wednesday, right?
At 12 a.m. my time, so 12 p.m. on the 16th your time, I think. Is that right? I don't know.
If it's
these time zones, man, they are no joke.
Yeah, I mean, it really for Osaka, I think she's got to try and go in and just play it on her own terms. She's just got to. I get the feeling at the moment when she can handle what's anything that's coming at her at the moment. But this was a good match for her to get through. Mukova, on the other hand, had to play Podoroska, and it was a 6-1, 6-1, right?
Cooked her, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's maybe more beneficial to have had come through a match like this for Osaka. So I was just talking about Ellie, right? Okay. So yeah, I don't know. I think with Mukova as well, though, sometimes she doesn't. I mean, I expect her she's going to be up for this, but maybe sometimes she doesn't always bring. Because sometimes she's when she plays well, she's just going to hit you over the court, and it's she's like a top 5 whatever level that is. But then, yeah, I mean, now I think Naomi is getting to a stage where she's a bit more. She's going to be more intimidating, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how Mukova, if she's going to be able to bring that. I mean, it could be a great match.
Yeah.
But for Naomi's point of view, I think, I mean, this was a really good performance here. I think she's got to try and bring that again in the next matches. And yeah, I don't know what you're thinking, but I mean, I didn't see any of the Mukova match, but I mean, I don't know if it's much to, if we can get much information from that first match.
Yeah. I think The single biggest number that jumps out in the first set and the third set, Osaka made 58+% of her first serves, and she won both sets somewhat comfortably. In the second set, she made 28%, and she lost, right? And I think, this is not rocket science. She simply cannot afford to serve the way that she did in the second set if she wants to win. Maybe she can get away with that for a set if she's going to win in 3. She cannot win if she serves that way for 2 sets, in my opinion.
Right.
I think one other, to Osaka's credit, her return was pretty solid today. At minimum, she was starting the point at a really, really high clip. So she wasn't giving up freebies in the return. I think that she can go to a slightly higher level where she can be just a bit more aggressive off the serve and put a little bit more pressure on. Because at the end of the day, she did not generate that many break points. Let me see what the end of total. Yeah, so both players generated 6 break points, right? I think Osaka can pump that number up with her return make rate.
Yeah, I mean, I think those serve stats, obviously, she's going to have to do better, and especially I think, against Mukova for sure. But I mean, I don't know, like sometimes that just happens. Maybe she dropped, maybe she switched off a little bit and sort of was a little bit surprised by the way Garcia came on, and that can sort of play on your mind a bit and affects like your serve or something. But I think when she goes into the next match, that she's going to be going in with a different mindset, and she's going to be quite fired up for it. So yeah, this is it. I think this is it now. This is what we want to see, really, is like big slam match like this. How is Naomi going to do? I mean, the last sort of really big one was the one against Iga, right? I mean, that was, and she did really well, but ultimately lost. But I mean, maybe forgivable against Iga on a Roland Garros. Of course, she went on to win the tournament. But this is just a really good test for her as well. Obviously, on her old, stomping grounds where she's won the title twice here. So yeah, I mean, let's hope it's a good match, because we're all expecting it to be. But
yeah. Well, listen, Eddie, a pleasure as always joining you today to the chat. Thank you guys for being engaged and some really, really funny and interesting stuff in there. Eddie, anything else in your end before we wrap up?
No, just obviously looking forward to that particular match that we've been talking about with Naomi and Mukova, which will be in 2 days. But tomorrow we've also got some other matches on. So yeah, a lot to look forward to. I mean, if you're talking about, Alexandra Raducanu, and then, Paolini back as well. Friend of the show is playing the qualifier. So and then we've got Triple Z against Aruna and a few other interesting matches. So gonna look forward to, and then of course what you mentioned, Monfils against Monpesi Parekar. I don't know if we're doing streams for this, but yeah.
if we are, we should. I would love to make it happen. The one
Jaime Faria.
One that's jumping out to me too, and this is like rounds and rounds and rounds to go, so we'll see if we get it. I really want to see Mira Andreeva versus Sabalenka. I think, anyone I think will want to watch that match. If we get that, that could be a real tennis treat, because, in some of the pre-tournament interviews, a lot of the players were asked, who's the one to watch, who's going to break through, and the answers were almost always Schneider or Andreeva. And Andreeva's kind of like, she get that Ben Shelton mentality. She's out there to win, and she thinks she can win, and she expects to win. She's not there to just do her best.
And
I find her really fun to watch.
She's not even 18 yet, right? I mean, that's crazy.
And
no, but I mean, they actually played not that long ago, her and Sabalenka, and it was obviously Sabalenka won, and it wasn't particularly close. But yeah, I mean, obviously every day is just like, at this age, she's getting better, right? So it'd be interesting if she does get through. Andreeva does still have to play against Japanese player Moyuka Uchijima, who's someone that I've talked about a lot on our podcast, Tennis Asia, because last year she had a great crazy run where she won 3 consecutive weeks 3 tournaments, and then the first one was in Japan and the others were in Europe. So it was like an incredible run and then she won,
wow.
and then she qualified for the first time for Roland Garros, won her first round, and then eventually lost to Sabalenka. But today she came back from a set down, saved a match point, and then won against Magdalene. So she's doing like her own Nishikori thing there. But yeah, so that's where Andreeva's got to play next. I think Andreeva will win, but she should really win. But and if she does, then we'll probably get that Sabalenka matchup in the 4th round. And that's something, I think any tennis fan, if they know anything about tennis, will be looking forward to.
Yeah. Well, if she's a friend of the pod, and we want at minimum a good matchup, maybe a 3-setter, and maybe an upset, I think would be good too. So one to watch as well.
And whoever wins that would probably have to play against Zhang Qinwen, right? So a lot of interesting matches to come up in Australia.
Yeah,
potentially.
Yeah. Awesome, gang. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah. And what do we say?
Subscribe to Talking Tennis. If you've been listening for 2 hours and 59 minutes and you haven't subscribed and liked, and hey, while you're at it, comment how fun it is and how much you like it. I don't know what's wrong with you. You should absolutely subscribe, do all the things. John works very hard. Eddie works very hard. We have fun here. And this is better than the commentators for the most part. Those are pretty boring, and we get a little loose.
And if you happen to be watching a Tennis Asia TV, you can hit subscribe as well. But keep on talking tennis.
You will subscribe to Tennis Asia TV. I'm going to drive to your house. I'm going to sit outside, and I'm going to wait there until you do. Subscribe. Please.
Okay. Let's go.
East End represent.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.